welcome back to Model Kit Stuff and the continuation of our Type 45 Destroyer HMS Dragon build. This is where we're up to. Let's see how we got there.
So what I'm wanting to do is finish the inside of the hangar here, which will then allow me to put the roof plate on, close that up, so that I can then progress with some of the build at the back here. Now, the Airfix instructions have you putting this roof on before you put the ship's hull sides on. But what I've found is, with a little bit of test fitting and filing away and so on and so forth, you can actually very carefully slide the kit part in. I'm not going to do it now because I need two hands and I'm holding this, but you can slide it all the way in. So that then gives me some great options to be able to build things up with the etch a bit more securely. So as you can see, this piece is loose. We're still working on that. You can see I've added a couple of watertight doors that aren't included. From the Atlantic Models etch set, we've put some vent exits on for the air conditioning units, and then a little bit of scrap railing stock and a little bit of plastic white rod has made some strip lights. So and then there'll be more railings to sit on the top, and we'll paint that all up. And here where this strip rod's been put in place to replace that, that's because there was a moulded in staircase there that I'm also going to replace with etch. So that then fits in there. The boat bay here is going to be blanked off. The shutter's already down on that, so there's nothing that I need to do on that, so that saves me a little bit of time. Now, next thing I need to think about is what's going in the hangar, and that Airfix very kindly give you a couple of different helicopters, whereas the trumpeter kit only gives you one helicopter. Now, in reality, these helicopters here, these small ones, you'd get two of those in that hangar. And if I put this in, and bearing in mind that it's only half of it, you can see it's going to be fairly cramped in that hangar. So my plan actually is we're going to use one of these parked in the hangar, and we're going to have one of them on the deck at the back. So in the hangar it's got its blades folded up, and on the deck it's got its blades out. And then the helicopter that comes with the trumpeter kit, which is really nice clear plastic parts, so you can paint it up and have clear windows, which I really like. I'm probably going to mount that on a little rod and on the seascape and have that flying. So not 100% sure, but fairly confident that's where I'm going to go with that. So we've got to build this helicopter up next, and the kit brilliantly supplies the rotor blades in either a folded or extended version. Now you can see here I've broken these, taken them off the sprue, and the sprue is really heavy around these delicate parts, and try as I may, there's a sprue connector, believe it or not, right in the middle of there that was twice as thick as those, and it was just, there was no way it was coming off in one piece. Now if I didn't have etch replacements, I could glue that back together. It'd be a bit of a pain, but it's doable. But I'm lucky that I've got etch replacements. So let's have a look at that next. So let me just move the dragon out of the way. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll start here, build up, paint that all up, put the aerial on, That part I think has a dome on it. Then we'll do these bits here, which are then out of the way. I haven't thought through my plan here, but there's kit parts that go in here which are quite oversized, and I have etch replacements. So I don't know yet whether I'm filling them, putting the kit parts in, cutting them flush and then putting the etch on top to fill that more quickly, or what I'm doing. But I'm going to work on this area next. There are some railings and bits and pieces to go on there as well. This area will work on at the same time, so there's some items to put on there. There's no railings to go on there, no railings to go on there, housing to go on there, and the radar. And then when those bits are done, we can then move up to that, but I might leave that off until I finish these bits here, just because I don't want to get my arm snagging on that, doing that bit. So I might finish that bit first before I do that. That ends up being higher than the mast anyway. And then once that centre area is done, we can then move forward to this area here. So on the bridge, I've taken off the bulkhead. I cut that off because it was too thick, and we'll build up the bridge, and then we'll put the bulkhead back on, and move forward from there. So still loads to do, and my deadline is to complete this, I think, for end of February, for a club build which has a deadline. So there you go. That's progress so far. What I'll do is I'll show you this when it's all been painted up, and then you can have a look at what bits are going on next. Whilst my black paint is drying, I'm moving my attention to the next items I want to add, which is these items here, which are two aerials that come out at an angle. And I've removed the parts from the kit, and they look very, very thick to me for what are fairly thin aerials when you look at the actual ship. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace these with some 0.5mm brass rod, which I think could be much more in keeping with the size, and we'll just add a more realistic look to the model, I think. So having looked at the part, the seam line here, don't know if we can see that on camera, probably not, but the seam line runs in line with the aerial, so we can use that to drill a little pilot hole. So what we need to do first of all is I'm going to just use the length of that as a guide, and then we'll cut it slightly longer. Actually, the easiest thing to do will be to cut this off first. So we'll cut that off, and we'll just sand that flat. Which will just like that, and then I've got a 0.5mm drill. And I'm just looking at the seam line and making sure that my drill bit is in line with the drill as we go down. And then if I put my thumbnail on the end there, I can measure how deep we've gone, and we can add that to the length then of the brass rod that we're going to cut, so that we have the right length once it's in its hole. So that is 1.5mm. So we've got to add 1.5mm onto the length of the part. The part is 22. So we're going to cut this at 23.5. So if I just measure that now, 23.5. That's that done. Just check that that didn't move when I cut it. One, 2, 3. Yeah, it did move a little bit, so I'm just going to trim the end off that a little. Just a little touch. Double check that now, probably too short. 23.5, brilliant. So, take this base part, we drill the hole in and just check the fit. A bit of drilling swap in the way there, just remove that. There we go. Actually my drill bit seems to have been slightly oversized, but with a little bit of super glue on the end, that's gonna fit in nicely. And I think you'll agree that looks a lot better in terms of thickness than that. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll clean the base parts up, glue them in place, and then paint them up, then put the aerials in. I need to just check the colour of the aerials. I think they're probably black. They certainly look black. But that might be a trick of the light, so we'll have a proper good look at what colour that should be. Actually, I'm just looking at a photograph now as we talk, and actually they're the same colour, so what we can do is we can paint them all at once. So and they're the same colour as the floor, so I'll clean these up, glue it all in place, and then we'll paint them in place. So yeah, that looks fantastic. Cool. Okay, so the aerials there have been fitted in place, and you can see that the wire, that little brass rod, makes all the difference. You can also see that we've put some etch on there, and there for the domes. There's another dome that goes on there, and then whilst we had the brass rod out and the super glue, it made sense to do these ones here on the radome tower. So all of those will get painted in the ghost grey, as will those. So yeah, I've also just finished this part here. So if you remember, it needed quite a bit of filling, which has been done. We've put a grill on the back end there, which came off the trumpeter kit, and that can then just go into place there. It's got some ladders and bits and pieces to go on, but there you go. I think we're going to call that it for this video. There'll be more coming soon, and hopefully you've enjoyed what you've seen. I'm looking forward to see how we progress this as we start to build up this area here, and then we've got an awful lot of butchery to do on the kit part for the main mast there. Okay, see you next time. Thanks for watching, and please be more than welcome to leave any comments.